Hello guys, thank you for tuning in today's video brought to you by Macam Productions. Today's video, concept movie recap. Basically, I'm doing a movie recap for the movie IT with Pearce Brosnan, but with a little twist. Instead of Pearce Brosnan playing Mike Regan, he is playing a retired James Bond. Sounds interesting to you? Then keep watching. His peaceful life has been ruined. He goes to the police officer, asks for help, and he tells him that this man tried to kill him, but there's no evidence. So the police officer doesn't seem to believe him. Now the wife sitting in the couch there, sad about the events. The wife says, "You promised me you will take care of this, even if it means coming back to your old self." James Bond said that, "I promised you I would never come back to that." But the wife says, if it's necessary, this is necessary. Our life is at stake. You have to handle this your own way, your old way. James Bond says, "If I have to return as Bond to settle this, I'll do it for our family." James Bond goes back to his old catalogs, his books, and tries to contact Q, the man that provides his gears, high-tech weapons, back when he was James Bond. James Bond must refrain from using any technology. He must go back to using his old gadgets, his old items, his old cars, and that's right, his old service. It has to be a car that's not high-tech. Now we hear the theme song, James Bond, and doom 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 doom, while James Bond drives to Q's place here. James Bond meets Q in a park. Q sitting with a briefcase. James Bond says, "Long time no see." Q says, "I never thought I'd see you again." James Bond says, "Life calls for duty." James Bond gives up his phone. James Bond and Q goes to his house wearing a mask so that he won't be identified, and he's gonna inspect all the gadgets in the house. Q inspects all the gadgets and sees that it's been tampered with. They must remove all of them at all costs. All the gadgets. James Bond smashes the gadgets in his home so that the IT guy has no more leverage, no more control over the house. Now James Bond have a little chat with Q, and they try to figure out how this all happened. Right from the beginning, the IT guy has already planned all of this. He has planted bugs in his home. They must figure out how. They must find evidence from all this. And they find out that he was part of a military. Q runs into the girl the IT guy likes, and they take her phone so that they could lure him, distract him. They go to the car, and the girl, he receives a message for the girl that he likes, but it's actually Q. So the IT guy gets out of the house to go for a date to meet the woman, but obviously this is all a distraction. Q and James Bond is outside the premise of his home, and Q is in the car giving him directions. James Bond goes inside his house, and there's seem to be a lot of high-tech stuff, but good thing Q is there to guide James Bond. James Bond finally goes to the main office of the IT guy, and sees a computer. All he needs to do is to get a copy of all the files in a USB. Puts a bug in his home, some cameras. Now the IT guy goes to the girl and says, "I got your message," and the girl said, "I'm sorry, but I don't know what you're talking about." While this is happening, James Bond tries to find where he can put the USB. Q is just watching this happening, so the IT guy realizes what's happening. James Bond is figuring out how he could get the USBs here. The IT guy runs back to his apartment. Q says, "You gotta get out of here. You gotta get out of there. The IT guy is coming." Q says, "Get out of there. Get out of there. Right now." James Bond finally got the USB he's looking for. Stick drive. The IT guy goes inside and grabs his gun. while James Bond is inside. He just needs some guidance from Q. Q said, "You move when I tell you to move." The IT guy sees James Bond running out. James Bond gets out. He goes to the stairs. The IT guy sees him. The IT guy shoots James Bond. James Bond gets into the car and there's police in the scene. James Bond is really doing his best not to kill again. As we all know, James Bond could easily take him out, but he's trying his best not to because he promised his wife not to do that again. First, the police won't believe him because they want an evidence, and with the help of Q, he was able to get evidence. The question is, will the police believe him? Will this be enough to put the IT man behind bars? Or will this force James Bond to take matters into his own hands? We'll find out for the final part, part 5, available in the channel.